Hey everybody, it's Jay, it's Nick, it's Jeff. We are back from the Arse-Frieza-Palooza at Sonoma.
Yeah, and we had an 86 Subaru GL10 wagon driven by the Betty White Bombers, which are a bunch of old circle track guys. The car was terrible. They took the rear drivetrain out of it to make it front-wheel drive only.
No idea why.
Lightweight and performance.
God.
These guys actually would have contended for Class C had they not gotten all the black flags that you always get when you're a circle track driver, but the car was hella sweet.
Hella sweet, Opel Racing brought this 75 Opel station wagon. Now, they built this car at the Sacramento Auto Show during the show. Well, they tried to build it. They got pretty close. It was not ready to go through tech when tech started. They worked on it. They finally got it through tech. They went out. They raced the car. The head gasket, which was already broken, totally let go. They spent 3 hours scratching their heads. It can't be the head gasket because we don't have a head gasket. And then they finally replaced the head gasket with another head gasket. The car limped out. We expect great things from this. It was a little slow starting, but it's an awesome car. It's not as good as the car that they did the Cannonball Run coast to coast, but someday it could be.
In fact, they wrote a book about their Cannonball coast to coast. Pick it up at stores near you because it's really not that
long.
Yeah,
it's long.
There's a lot of words in here about nothing. But terrible was the A-Fart Racing Lancia Scorpion. This is the car's 5th time out. This time, it failed, again with an engine fire. But there is a way to solve that with a Lancia.
Yeah, this team totally figured out a way to make a Lancia work in Lemons. Papa Elon's Racing Minions, which are a bunch of Tesla engineers, brought a Nissan 300ZX, and because they're high-tech dudes, they have access to all kinds of crazy 3D printing devices, and they did all kinds of cool stuff, including making this custom valve cover for their Nissan V6.
Hella sweet, the Low on Power Ranger, which is an excellent team name, and this was a bone stock Ford Ranger. It just went around, and because of Sajeev, we like these cars, we notice them. Well done.
The Unicorn Ain't Used team showed up with the most depressing, underinflated unicorn theme in Lemon's history.
But terrible. Car and driver.
I did a 180 right after the end of the back straight.
Tony Swan, their former team captain, he passed away earlier this year. He's a respected automotive journalist. That's the world we all came from. So we had been giving that team a free entry just out of respect. But they're really starting to grate on us.
Yeah, so what happened at this race, there was a lot of pit speeding happening. So much, in fact, they got a bunch of black flags for it, but so much that now everybody in Lemons refers to Csaba on the car and driver team as pit speed racer, which I find good. Fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. So there was this incident where Csaba's speeding through the pits, and Chris Blizzard's kid, is in the pits, wanders in front of the car. Csaba, locks up the brakes, is revving up the engine. There's this big fight of, hey, you almost ran over my child. And Csaba finally says, hey, I'm here to win races, not to make friends. To which Chris Blizzard, I think very accurately pointed out, well, you're doing neither.
Phil had some descriptive notes about the bootleggers racing Honda Civic, and here they are. Minutes after the George Bush the First croaked, they pitted and painted a big Bush sign on the hood. It's the fastest dead president retheming we've had in series history.
We had some hella sweet 944s. We had the Blue Man Group. We had San Fran Disco, which I really liked. And we had one team that printed their entire budget out on a giant sheet so that the judges could see the big picture. I don't know if that worked for them or not. I don't think it did.
And on the subject of heavily depreciated German machinery, there were a couple of great big Mercedes-Benz. There was an S-Class. There was an E-Class. There were many check engine lights.
Hella sweet. At the end of the year, we have a ton of patches that come back. You want to get rid of them all the time. So we had this giant box. We put it out at Sears Point, and much to the chagrin of Dan and Csere from Eyesore, their kid went and picked up as much as he could.
As though we weren't already ruining their lives.
How many bags are you going to get tomorrow?
3.
Excellent. Now, the angry Cadillac Allante jihad had died down a little bit after Concord Lemons, where it was the featured mark, and they got mad, and after Lemons Buttonwillow, where the first ever Allante Lemons race car participated. So they had kind of died down after that, finally, and of course got riled all back up again when they found out that the same Allante that was at Buttonwillow was going to be racing at Sonoma, to the point that they got on the Allante Facebook group, and they told the one guy who's like the Cadillac Allante part supplier, you gotta stop selling to these Lemons people. They're ruining the value of our mark. To the point where Alan Galbraith, probably the guy that started this whole thing, felt bad, and he called the parts guy, and he said, listen, I'm sorry these guys are bugging you. And the parts guy said, are you kidding? I think this is great. Plus, what are they going to do? Buy from somebody else? I'm the guy that's got all the Allante parts.
Now, every neighborhood in the country, there's some franchised house cleaning service that buys a whole fleet of identical cars. They do identical treatment on all of them, and then they go around cleaning houses, right? Well, around here, it's Merry Maids. And Merry Maids, they've got this whole fleet of Volkswagen New Beetles. Now, Tim Tomas, they totaled their Mark I Golf after like 10 years. The thing was just done. So Tim, he said, all right, I'm going to get a new Beetle. And he got one of these Merry Maid New Beetles, built it into a race car, and they said, what am I going to do for a theme? Oh, I know. Absolutely nothing. Car was spectacular.
Hella sweet. Rather Be Racing's Miata was out at Buttonwillow with a Superbird theme, giant wing in the back. They rethemed it this time with the Speed Racer Mach 5 theme. Very convincing. Very well done.
Not to be confused with Pit Speed Racer. Team Valiant Effort was there, and that car ran great. By that I mean badly.
Hella sweet, we had a very dramatic battle for the overall win at this race. I mean, they were seconds apart. They were swapping the lead. It was the Eyesore Franken Miata and the Alfa Romeo Sindicate Excellente Alfa Romeo. Now, obviously, Alfa Romeos, they're great cars, but they are not super reliable. This team has figured out how to actually make an Alfa Romeo last for an endurance race and win that endurance race.
You can't bring a Korean car to a Lemons race without Phil going absolutely bananas. Pit Crew Revenge brought a 1998 Daewoo Laganza. It was another one of my suggestions. Unusually for such cars, it ran perfectly all weekend, contended for a class win. The award was called the Service by Manny, Moe, and Jack Award because Daewoo assigned all warranty repairs to the Pep Boys after they booted out of the country back in 2002. Or Pep Boys bobbleheads on the dash, of course.
Judge's choice went to 4 Idiots Racing and their 3-cylinder Geo Metro. Your chances of winning a trophy is going to be higher if you bring a 3-cylinder Geo Metro. Yeah. They took the extra step of putting a great Nintendo Mario theme on it with wings. Car looked awesome. It was incredibly slow. They got the trophy.
The heroic fix went to Los Limones and their 77 Firebird.
Bird.
These were a bunch of kids. I was just asking, are they high school kids? Are they college kids? We don't know. I mean, to us, they looked like they were 12, which means they were probably 30. So they show up with this Firebird. There is no cage in the car. In fact, they knew there was no cage in the car. Yeah. They knew so much that they had asked Jeff on Thursday, we have no cage in our car. Is there electricity so we can put a cage in our car on Friday in the paddock?
I said, no, they don't have electricity there.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out, kids. So these guys, they show up. Their kit was literally delivered to the track on Friday from the cage kit builder.
And this is like bare tube.
Yeah, this is just basically pieces of metal.
Yeah.
Go to it.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of teams would have given up. We get teams that are like, my starter does not work and it races in 4 days, and so I can't quit. No, these kids were like, not a problem. We're going to figure this out. They've never been racing before. They've never been on a racetrack before. I don't think they've ever worked on a car before. And they go, guess we got to learn how to weld now. So they start Friday night. They're bending and welding. They worked on this thing all weekend long. They got this through tech 40 minutes before the checkered flag on Sunday.
Yeah.
And they got in the car and they went out. It was, of course, incredibly slow. I think their 350 was making about 14 horsepower.
That's
but they got laps.
Yeah. For 77.
For 77.
Yeah.
That is the factory rating. So they got laps. They took the checkered flag, I think.
Close enough.
It almost doesn't matter. They got the heroic fix.
I Got Screwed went to longtime Lemons racers Roadrace Jones and their Nissan Sentra. Now, what had happened was, at some point on Saturday, this Duster, it came in on a rollback wrecker, and it was all toe up. And we went over there, and the Duster guys were all worked up. You've got a murderer out there on track. I hope that you ban them from lemons forever. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. We didn't see it. Like, I guess maybe you got hit by another car. I don't know. And so this goes on for some time. According to Phil, it turned into a big Facebook thing where everybody was yelling at these Sentra guys for wrecking this Duster. So we had to go on all of this story that had been floating around, and so Steve went over to the Sentra guys and gave them a real stern talking to on Sunday morning, assuming that they were these murderers that were out there wrecking cars left and right. A few hours later, the Duster guys sent me an email of like, here's the video evidence. And what it was a Sentra driving along in a really narrow part of the track where it's probably a really bad idea to pass, and a freaking Duster coming out of nowhere and cleaning the front of their car off. That was the evidence that was supposed to exonerate them. And then we felt bad because we had yelled at them. They had taken all this abuse on the internet. They got screwed.
Organizer's choice went to Ranger Road Motors in their 2007 GTI, which is an automatic. There's a reason for that.
The reason it was an automatic is because Ranger Road is all about one thing. They take wounded service veterans and help them reintegrate into civilian life. And they do that through their motto of sharing extraordinary activities.
Yeah, so they chose to do a lemons race.
So the leader of Ranger Road, Mikhail, he contacted Jay St. Clair, who was a Northwest Lemons racer of some note. And they put this team together with Tim Tomas and Aaron Brooks working on the car. They built actually a pretty good car with things to make these guys able to race.
These guys came out, they'd never raced before, they had great attitudes, they did well, they didn't get black flags. In fact, they finished in the top third, and between the 5 of them, they had something like 3 legs.
Yeah, and so this whole story is just really great, and we wanted to publicize it on our social media, so we put a picture of this GTI onto Instagram, and the first comment was very inspirational. It was, where did you get a 2007 GTI for $500?
The index of affluency went to Bodge Engineering and their Sterling 827.
Yeah, you know, and it's really too bad that this Sterling wasn't red, and it's really too bad that we don't allow seats that recline.
So this car has 350,000 miles on it. It was originally owned by Miss Washington State in 1961. Fun fact. This team bought this car because they thought, this is going to be a great lemons car. They got it home and they said, actually, this is just a fantastic car. We're just going to drive this around the street. Well, they did that for a little while and they realized, no, this is actually not a fan. This is at best, this is a lemons car. They took it to Lemons, they put a cage in it, and they raced it. They actually did really well. I think they had one brake failure. Other than that, the car ran great, which it is not done in any other 2-day long period for 350,000 miles. They won the IOE.
And for all the naysayers that say, yeah, that's just a rebadged Honda, remember, that's a Honda that was wired by the British.
And here's lemons in a nutshell.
Ah, f*** off!
He's coming in hot.
One UZFE. One UZ no. One UZ no shit.
The new Allante.
The new Allante. The Allantes. You got it. The new Allante. It's got the double jiggle, see? Jiggle, jiggle. The new Allante.
Where do we think the origin of the General Motors 3.9 pushrod V6, I mean, what kind of person would be driving a vehicle that had that engine?
I would say the owner of the Chevy Uplander in 2018 would be driving that old 3.9 to the slaughterhouse in Indiana, where they work as a purchasing agent for the slaughterhouse, buying slaughterhouse equipment, and the Uplander would be just fine even if it crapped out every now and then, because that's just GM life.
It's true.
Yeah.
How's it running?
It's not running.
Benghazi, Whitewater, Jade Helm.
So do you think that the investigation around Watergate was fair to President Nixon?
I think it was an attack on the institution of the executive branch of this sacred country. Oh.